What's up, YouTube? Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Welcome if it's your first time to my YouTube family. I'm Pixie Dust. This is my channel, Pixie Dust and Spirit Alchemy. And today's video is going to be on a new topic, just uncovered before on my channel, but still relating to magic, and that is on Ancestor Rituals. Okay, Ancestor Rituals. So I don't know who on my channel has, what you guys practice, what your craft is magic-wise. I have a little bit of like a broad spectrum on my channel. I go from, a little bit. I'm aiming to grow into more of a broader spectrum, because right now it ranges from like magical cash book, pretty much gallery of magic stuff, and then sort of whatever ad-lib things that I throw in as well. So today's video, the Ancestor Ritual, is not based on any gallery of magic books at all. This is strictly from my own practice, what I do to connect with my ancestors and what works for me. Hence all the white I'm wearing. I was about to record this video and I wore a black shirt, and I was just like, I don't like how this appears. There's already a lot of black in my room, and in order to honor ancestors in this video, I'm also wearing white, which I will get to in a minute. So, ancestor video, let's get started. Alright guys, so I'm assuming most everyone knows what ancestors are, and everyone has ancestors, whether or not you wish to communicate with them, that's your own personal ordeal. My cat is like, bye. What I'm about to go over in this video applies not only to just your ancestors, but to whatever deceased relatives or deceased loved ones you may want to connect with. So I say ancestor ritual because that's generally who I'm trying to communicate with, but not all the time. But this also applies to friends, animals, pets, if you wanted to try to communicate with some pets that have passed away, which I have done that as well. I've talked to or communicated with one of my cats, channeled her into my room that has passed away. So anyways, but right now I'm going to focus on how I connect with my ancestors, specifically my grandparents that have passed away. So I haven't really ever given a tour of my room. Maybe one day I'll do that. It's really not that special, but I have an altar over here in the corner over there. Maybe I'll put in a picture of it or something. And it's got all my magic books. It's kind of my general magic my general magic practice area. For any sort of wealth magic I do, or any more of my less intimate rituals. Ones that aren't going to bring any demonic energy or heavier spirits into my room. So I've got my altar over here. And then I also have an altar in my closet, which I'll post a picture of in here. So what I wanted to go over today for the Ancestor Ritual are a few things. So first off, we're going to get into the setup of Ancestor Ritual. So what is required if you want to connect with your ancestors? This is based on, I don't know if there's a right or wrong. This is based on my experience, what has been told to me through some friends, what I've read about, and what continues to work for me. So my setup, I'll post a picture here. I have a little altar. It's really not even anything special. It's a shelf that I put my socks in, and I put it on top of that. So ultimately it's a nice space. There's a shelf. I put a white tablecloth, or just a white cloth I think I got from Michael's, over it so that it's covered in a white cloth. And then I also have 2 white candles, really 3 white candles, but I started with one, and I collected a few more over time. So what you will need is a white altar cloth, white candles, a bell, a small little bell. There's this store called the Enchanted Forest by my house, in the area that I live in, and I got a little bell from there. It was like $1. I mean, it's just a little simple little bell. I have a little goblet thing or a little bowl for water when I make offerings, and an incense burner. An incense burner, I put a spirit trumpet incense in, which helps to connect with the spirits. And then the most recent time that I did the Ancestor Ritual, I added some crystals around the altar as well. I put kyanite, which helps with communication, amethyst, which opens your third eye, I believe, a little bit and helps to connect with psychic messages, and selenite as well, I believe, which also opens passageway to angelic communications. I'd have to go into a little bit more depth onto the full use of those crystals, but that's just what I grabbed intuitively off the top of my head. So the setup. So basically, you know, if anyone is a practicing magician, you know, you set up your altar as you would anything organized, right? Like, just make it look pretty. And also, in addition to the candles, the incense, the crystals, the goblet or the bowl, and the altar cloth, I also have a picture of my deceased grandparents, or whoever I'm going to be communicating with in this ritual. So right now, I'm not going to post the picture in the video just for the privacy and respect of them. You know, I'll post where the picture is, but I'm not going to put their faces in it or anything for this. But I have a picture of my grandparents when they were younger, like my age. You know, black and white, something I found on the internet that I printed out, and I use that every time I'd like to communicate with both of them. Now, if I'm just looking to communicate with my grandfather or my grandmother, then I'll print separate pictures individually and use them one at a time so that I'm focusing on that direct contact with that individual. In addition, I have a friend that is deceased, rest in peace, Jinx, and I have not yet tried to contact him, but I have his picture printed out in my little magic box thing that I have in order for when I do attempt to do this ritual as well. So that's all you'll need. Pretty simple. You can add whatever other things you'd like. Perhaps if, you know, it was recommended to me if my grandfather was a smoker, maybe to put a cigar on there or an offering of some sort. I use the bowl for water simply because in the spirit world, you know, they don't indulge in water like we do. So it's there, and I offer the water to them and drink from it and offer them a sip as well. So, you know, it can be water, it can be wine, it can be something more personal to whoever you're trying to contact that may get them to come in. So in this case, it's simple. I just did water. So, like I said, you must know who you want to communicate with, regardless of friend, family member, whoever. So what you're going to do is have this intent in mind, and when you begin your ritual, you want to get into a meditative state, right? You want to, with any magic, you want to get into that magic mindset, that as much focus as you can and mindfulness of the practice that we're about to partake in. Because to be honest, I'll be honest with you guys, I tried to do an ancestor ritual. I wrote it in my calendar, and my intention was to do it on Monday of last week. What is today? I don't even know what today is, guys. Tuesday. Today's Tuesday. So this was last week. I tried to do it on Monday of last week. And with all this coronavirus stuff and just work, and there's extra stress, I mean, I don't know how you guys are handling it, but my headspace has not always been the best that it should be right now. You know, like, I'd like to say that I have the best coping mechanisms that one can have, but I don't, honestly. So, but being aware of that is the first step, because I didn't want to take in any of that mental turmoil into my ancestor ritual. I didn't want to. So basically, I ended up moving it on my calendar for Monday, and I just put due before Sunday or by Sunday. Anyways, I ended up doing the ancestor ritual on Sunday, which is generally my preferred day of the week to do it anyways. Not for any reason. It's just, well, you know, it is the holy day, I guess, in some religions, and I'm generally off on Sundays, so that's the main reason. So I have more time to collect myself, gather myself, you know, meditate beforehand, and just prepare myself for the ritual, and just be more intuitive and connected. So know who you're communicating with, and have this mindset, have this awe, this honest, raw intention, because spirits aren't necessarily watching our every move. They can, if they'd like to, but they're busy doing things in the spirit world, you know? I mean, they're not just like right here all the time unless I call on them. But we have to make it worth their while for them to come in. But fortunately, like with grandparents or a family member that maybe we were close to, they have a little bit more of an inclination to come into the ritual because there was an established connection with us beforehand. And sometimes they're even looking down on us a lot closer than we realize. And I was almost a little bit, not embarrassed, I guess a little, just hesitant to come into the ritual. Sorry, my cat. Hesitant to come into the ritual this time because I know that they can see me. I know that there's transparency when I call on them, and that I cannot hide my emotions. I cannot hide my, how my actions, what I've been doing. So I'll be honest with you guys, like every time that I've done this in the past, it really hasn't even been that often, but every time I've done it in the past few months, I have shed tears. I mean, there is emotion that comes over me that I am incapable of controlling. But it's good. It's refreshing. It's something that I want, and I feel more connected to whoever I'm trying to communicate with. And with that, it helps them to experience the emotions that we feel on the planet, right? Because as humans, we have emotions. We have emotions that are given to us that are really a blessing, ultimately, if we don't want to feel them, even if we don't want to feel them. Whenever I start, I go in my closet. Yes, I do it in my closet. First of all, you want to make sure that this altar or wherever you're performing this is not in a space where you choose to be intimate, like my bed. I'm not going to have the altar be right here where they can possibly see me being intimate with somebody or changing clothes or, partaking in something that would just be disrespectful or crass or whatever, just something that I stick to my private time aside from the ritual. So therefore, I moved, my closet is big enough where I have a walk-in and everything, and I moved the altar into there. So that's where I hide it. Well, it's not hidden, but that's where I do it. And so how I begin is I sit and get into this meditative, tranquil state for a bit. Turn off the light in the closet and light the candles. Light both white candles. I have the picture set up. I have their crystals. I light the incense, and I begin by saying to my grandmother and to my grandfather, I am here. I would like to connect with you. I ask my spirit guides and my highest self to protect this interaction of communication between us, and to let me know that you are here. And then I ring my little bell that I have a few times, 2 or 3, depending on just how many times I feel is right. There really is no right or wrong way. A lot of this is an intuitive art. A lot of it just comes however you feel that it should come. And there are sometimes where I will repeat that a few times, I'm here, I wish to connect, until I feel this sort of shift in the atmosphere, or until I feel their presence, whether it's, sometimes I get the chills, sometimes I ask them, please let me know, sometimes it may be harder for me to pick up on their presence. So I ask, please let me know that you are here. Sometimes it's from a chill, or something in my closet will move. Like literally the last time I said that, I'm pretty sure something shifted on the shelf in my closet. And I was like, okay. And then immediately after that, I knew it. I knew they were here. And I just heard this little instinct, or this inside voice that just said, we're here, we hear you. And it's when you get into that direct connection that you want to know what it is you're there to talk about. What is your intent that you're bringing into this conversation? Are you there to just tell them about life? Are you there to discover something about them? For me, my intent is always to honor them, is always to thank them for my childhood, to thank them for being there, and to discuss, the world events now. I talk to them about just how life has been lately with coronavirus and stuff, and, and thanking them and talking to them a little bit. And it is important to be receptive into the answers we receive, because the answers come in different ways. For me, I am clairsentient, so I feel a lot of my answers. There are times where I'm clairvoyant and clairaudient, more so clairaudient than clairvoyant, so I'll hear things occasionally too. But clairsentience and clairaudience are the 2 main ways that I know I am being connected with, or that I can hear them. And I'll ask them. I'll tell them, hey, let me hear you. Please make it obvious so I know you're here. And usually when I do that, it's not going to be the most obvious thing in the world, like something catches on fire or something, I don't know. I mean, maybe it is for some people, but it's just enough that I need to know that they're with me. These are emotional rituals, very emotional for me, because I'm usually connecting with them, and they're my grandparents. Like, I love them, I still love them, and in this way, I am able to build more of a connection with them as if they were here. And I tell them that. I tell them this, like, hey, it is my intent to continue to grow a relationship with you both, or with just my grandfather, with just my grandmother. So basically during the ritual, I talk to them as long as I would want, It could be 5-10 minutes. I don't think they ever really go past 20 minutes or something. And I cry. If I feel any tears coming on, I let the emotion out. I let the laughter out. I let the whatever out. I talk to them as if they're there. And at times, I'll feel hugs. I'll feel warmth. Or I'll feel how it felt to be in their presence as a child. I'm almost about to cry right now. Like, it's an emotional gift. It's an emotional ritual. And that is also why it took me like a week to just come around to getting myself to do it, is because it's draining. Not necessarily completely draining, like where you're just gonna be totally out of energy afterwards, but it does take a lot. It takes a lot. And it's important to be present as much as possible in the ritual. And lastly, is just keeping the location and the space. If the altar, whether it's, a movable altar or one that you have there all the time, mine is always there. I try to just keep that space as clean as possible, as if they're there at all times. Sometimes I take their picture down and I'll use it for other things, but cleansing the space, using some rose water, or lighting the incense, saying a prayer, just keeping the space clean. Since in my closet, there's a lot of clothes hanging up, so I just make sure that there's not anything on the ground or anything. It doesn't have to be in your closet. If you're comfortable doing it in your room, that's fine, but I just recommend, especially if you leave the altar up at all times and the pictures are there at all times, that you maybe don't do it like on your nightstand or on the altar next to your bed if you have one. So whenever I'm concluding the ritual, whenever it feels like whatever message I wanted to communicate or receive has been communicated, then I'll tell them, I thank them, whoever it is, I thank them for coming and joining me, for giving me their time. And I let them know, I offer them the water, or I should have offered them the water by now already, and I'll take a sip of it. I thank them and I let them know that I'll meet with them again soon, and that I love them. And in order to close the ritual, I thank them again, saying their names, and I will ring the bell 2 to 3 times, and then blow out the candle. And the ritual is over. It's fairly simple. I'm really not doing any sort of conjurations or anything. It's simply a spiritual communication. I'm not evoking or invoking anything. But by having the picture of who you're trying to communicate with there, it brings their energy there more so that you can feel it and that they can feel welcome. So anyways, guys, it's a pretty emotional, it's a pretty powerful ritual if you do it correctly and if you connect with somebody who you love. I've really only ever done it with my grandparents, who I was very close to as a child, and I wish that they lived longer, but rest in peace, and I pray that they are only having the time of their lives in the spirit world. But I'm grateful to have come across spirituality in the sense that I can do this, because I don't ever want to lose those childhood memories that I have, and who's to say whether or not I will. But talking to them regularly, I try to maybe do this ritual a couple times, once every 2 weeks or something, and just telling them, like, thank you, and reminiscing with them, and saying, I hope that I never lose this. And by that, I believe it strengthens. But, if I turn into an old lady with dementia, then there's not much I can do about that. But with these rituals, it is my intention to still continue to get closer because it is my belief that they are there still. And that it's not time for our relationship to end if it doesn't have to. So anyways, guys, this is getting to be one of my longer videos, but I am going to make some edits to it. If y'all have any questions over, you know, what to do, how to set up your altar, what sort of things to use, message me, you know, send or post it in the comments. I will, like I said, put up a picture of the altar that I use. And also go ahead and put up a picture of the other one that I use. I think I might have seen it in some videos, but maybe not. But it really doesn't have to be anything special. Just almost as if you were in a church. You know, I don't know if you're a church hater on my channel. I'm not a church hater. I just don't go to church anymore. But like the altar is just a respected place. You know, this is an honorary ritual for ourselves and for our ancestors. So we want to come at it with the utmost love and respect. I hope y'all are being safe during this quarantine time and these weird times that we're living in. I've been doing my best, you know, working still, thankfully, but also, you know, some days are better than others, and that's just because we're human. No one on Earth has dealt with this before, none of the generations alive, so there's not really any right or wrong way to cope with things. I mean, I guess there are wrong ways, certainly, but like, we each have our own ways of coping, and that's okay. Even if it's unhealthy, you know, as long as we're aware of what needs to be changed, then we're better off. So, I think my cat says bye too. She's just turning around to nap again. But anyways, guys, peace, be safe. Please message me if you have any questions, and until next time, thanks.